Hey guys, welcome to The Humanity. My name is Ever, and today's coloring adventure is all about Star Wars Day. It is Star Wars Day, May the 4th. May the 4th be with you, and also with you. Sorry, had to do it. So, I was just going to do a color and chat, and I was going to color Out of the Way by Morgan O'Brien, because a galactic coloring book featuring a little green guy, who we all know and love. And then the spouse came up with an idea that while I'm doing this, I should talk about Star Wars. And then he came up with 10 questions for me. And I gotta tell you, I've been a Star Wars fan since about 1985. That was a long time ago. We've gone into this already. I am old. And I am not what you would call a hardcore fan. I have some t-shirts, I have some merchandise, I have a mug or two, I have, little stuff here and there, but I'm not super hardcore. And some of these questions were hard because I'm like, oh, I really need to think about this. So this is awesome. So I'm excited. So I picked out, I did 2 pictures in this book already today, but I picked out, No, I really made this easy on myself. There we go. This one. Where our little Grogu man is just sitting happily in a tree with a snack. And the moon is out and full. And he just looks very chill and happy. It was a good ending to an evening. So, there are 10 questions. Let me get into these questions and my answers. There might be some rambling that happens. I'm just going to warn you guys right now because there are some things in this questions in here that may call for some rambling. I'm going to light myself a little better though because I'm going to be using so if this gets in the way of you seeing what I'm doing, I do apologize. Let me try to turn it like this way. Let's see, hold on. Let me look and see how bad this is. Am I good? I'm good. Okay. So, question number 1 is, what race has your favorite visual design? I didn't even have to hesitate for my answer, and that is the Twi'lek. If you know, you know. Fun piece of trivia about me is I actually crocheted a Twi'lek hat ages ago and wore it to a convention. If you follow me, if we're friends on Facebook, which is kind of a rare thing because I don't really do the whole Facebook thing. Rude? Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard that or not. Probably. But anyway, I wore it to a convention and I had my picture taken with Darth Vader, one of his red guard, and R2-D2 from the 501st, which I'll probably get into the 501st while I'm talking about Star Wars because yeah. So anyway, I got my picture taken with them and I had my lightsaber on my hip and everything and it was really cool. So yeah, they are my favorite. Number 2, oldies or new ones and why? Now, I'm going to answer a lot of these questions with the knowledge and understanding that you guys know what we're talking about necessarily. I'll try to do a quick thing for those that don't. When we're talking about oldies and new, we're talking about the original trilogy and everything that has come since. So I grew up on the original trilogy. So my answer is obviously going to be the original trilogy because that's what I grew up on. I mean, that's what I'm familiar with. Now, the 3 that came after, I'm not a huge fan of all of them. I quite like Attack of the Clones. That one was okay. And whatever movie Darth Maul was in, that was cool. I can't remember. I think it was the first of the next ones. But I think my thing too is just that it's the effects, because they weren't spectacular, but when you were a kid and these movies came out and you saw these movies for the first time and you thought they were the best thing ever, with the pew pew laser sounds, look, I want a toy like stormtrooper rifle just for the sound. I just want to run around and just probably annoy everyone in my vicinity with the pew pew sounds, because it is one of my favorite sounds in the universe, honestly. Number 3. Have you ever read any Star Wars books or comics? If so, what did you like best about them? So this is where things might get a little dicey. Yes, I have. I have read some of the older novelization of Star Wars, based on the original trilogy and based on the trilogy that came after. I have flipped through some comics, but never really got into the comic titles before, although I've heard they're pretty good. And then came the new novels. Now, there is a lot in the Star Wars fandom. There is a lot of discourse about a set of novels written by a man named Chuck Wendig, who I know from my days of writing Twitter and talking to him on Twitter, and I've read some of his other books that came before the Star Wars books. But in Aftermath, I do believe that was the first one, Mr. Wendig introduced a novel concept into a universe that is huge. And literally when I say universe, I'm talking about like the galaxy. I'm talking about how big the galaxy is. If you're familiar with the deep knowledge of Star Wars and you know and you've seen the list of planets, there are old Star Wars role-playing books. There is one book dedicated specifically to all of the planets and all of what the planets are like. And you mean to tell me that in the vastness of the Star Wars universe, there was no homosexuality until Chuck Wendig wrote a book? You've got to be kidding me. Ridiculous, right? But that happened. He made a character gay. And you would have thought that he pissed on George Lucas with the absolute vile things that were said about him and about his book. Holy crap. I liked the book. Now, I have not read the rest of them. I enjoyed Aftermath. The rest of them came out when I was sort of in a slump of not really feeling like doing a whole lot of reading, and so I have not read the other books. But it was nice to see representation. Like, oh look, there are queer characters in Star Wars. As there freaking should be. I'm sorry, but like, you can't have a vast universe like that and not have queer characters. It just, I can understand maybe when the first trilogy came out, it was 1975. Okay. That maybe, but not now. Like, and Aftermath this was written years ago. So, okay, getting down off of that soapbox, I knew I was going to get into it once I started on the whole book thing with Aftermath. All right. Number 4. What food do you wish you could eat from the Star Wars series? I wrote down food. There's food. So here's the thing. It's never something I ever paid much attention to. And the fact that, obviously, if you have all of this heavy story, you're going to have food. Well, I had to look it up. And I didn't, really, they didn't go into any, on the Wikipedia, they did not go into any details. But they brought up, concepts of different food. And there is a huge list of it. And I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. When it was brought up in the idea of, so-and-so mentioned this food in this book or this movie or whatever. And I thought that was kind of cool, but I was like, food? Oh, see? I don't know. But there are lots of food. However, as I stated to my spouse, and I'm putting it out here too, we do not roast porgs in my house. That was one of the recipes that Abe came across, and my answer to that is no. They're too cute. We do not roast them. Number 5. What would your racing pod look like? Oh, I hated that movie so much. Oh my god, I hated Baby Anakin so much. I hated that movie. I saw it in the theater, God help me. Because I was excited, because I was like, a Star Wars movie, yes! And then I walked out of the theater going, why? Why? But anyway, so the pod racers. Cool concept. Honestly, I don't really know because I don't really remember what they looked like. I know, like, I kind of have it sort of in my brain, but I feel like mine would look kind of like Anakin's did, which was, if I remember correctly, it kind of looked like it was held together with duct tape and hope. Because, I think he salvaged it from a whole... That's what I would do. Mine would be, like, salvaged and pieced together from other pod racers. So it would look very, like, patchwork and kind of, Frankenstein-esque. That's what my pod racer would look like. Question number 6 is, who is the character you love to hate? Say it with me now, kids. Kylo Ren. Love to hate this boy, Ben Solo. First of all, I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody that hasn't seen the movies, but he killed his own damn father. That made me very mad. I hated that part of the movie so much. Oh, I hated it so much. Did I mention I hate it? That's what made me the most angry about Kylo Ren, is that he killed his father. So, question number 7, I actually had to look this up because I wanted to find something interesting for this question that I cannot tell you. Like, I don't have Star Wars trivia in my head, especially not, like, super detailed Star Wars trivia, like, what camera did George Lucas use to film blah, 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 that kind of stuff. I don't have that in my brain. But what I did find out this evening from the internet, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, Samuel L. Jackson, you know where this is going, right? Mace Windu, the man with the purple lightsaber. Samuel L. Jackson had his lightsaber engraved. I don't know if some of you know this or not, but he had it engraved with BAMF, which stands for Badass Motherfucker. Absolutely love that piece of trivia. I'm going to take that with me to my grave. That is the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing ever. It's cool as hell. I love question number 8. I love this question so much because, a little backstory on this question. I am a tabletop gamer. I have been a tabletop gamer since I was 12 years old. I have played just about every game under the sun you could possibly think of, and that includes Star Wars. There was a really great Star Wars role-playing game that came out with a ton of books, which we just had for reference in the house where I lived. And it actually came with little figures that you could use for battles and stuff, like ships and robots and drone clones and all this other. It was cool. It was really cool. But in the game, I never played a Jedi. And not for any particular... Look, I love the Force. I love the idea of the Force. I love the idea of, like, Force choking a bitch. But I never played a Jedi because it wasn't a character that interested me as a concept. And I think a lot of it has to do with my general distaste for organized religion. But one of the main reasons why I could never be a Jedi is because Jedi are forbidden to fall in love. And I'm sorry, but no. That is a piece of life in general that just, I'm sorry, but nah.
Oh, babe, you wouldn't become a Jedi for me? Oh.
I wouldn't become a Jedi if I couldn't love you.
Oh.
I will cosplay as a Jedi, because the robes look cool as hell, and I love lightsabers, but no, I would not become a Jedi because Jedi are forbidden to fall in love.
Babe.
Love is way too important. And, I mean, I just think it's really funny that Jedi are forbidden to fall in love, but if you go to fanfiction.net, let me tell you, there's a lot of Jedis in love. With each other. But anyway, I digress. Oh, this is a great video. I'm having so much fun. I don't know if I'm going to finish this picture. I may just ramble more about Star Wars and my Star Wars experience just to finish this picture tonight. I thought about using markers, but I have been having such a bad time with markers lately, and them just running out on me in the middle of me doing a picture, and I'm like, I am not going to ruin a perfectly good picture because my markers decided to putz out on me and die. So that's not happening. I don't know what this little treat doohickey thing that Grogu has is, so I don't know what color to color it. So I'm going to color it, I think I colored it in the other picture I had. I don't remember what color I colored it. Hold on, let me reference. I colored it like orange. You know what? I'm going to color it orange. This is the other picture I did. I'm giving you a sneak peek of a finished picture, but I did this for Johanna's Grogu in 2022 monthly prompt. Which, hey, I only missed a few of that. I might be able to finish the book using that. So we're going to continue that idea, and we're just going to color his little treat orange. He has a treat in a tree. He is a happy little guy. I love this book so much. I am on the Morgan O'Brien train, guys. I love his stuff so much. Oh, I had 2 more questions. Haha. Okay. Number 9. To you, what makes Star Wars special? In other words, if you had to pick one thing, why do you like Star Wars? This was hard. Believe it or not, this was a hard question. Because there's so many different directions I can take this. And I wrote down the first thing that came into my mind, and the first thing that came into my mind is it's space. It's space. It's spaceships. It's Death Stars. It's TIE fighters. It's space. It is alien races, and it's space, and it's cool. And that's what makes it special to me. I have a lot of memories of friends that I had when I was young and related Star Wars memories. I think I told you guys how I met my friend Sean when he was throwing his breakable C-3PO up in the air and letting it break. So Star Wars kind of holds, in that sense, kind of a very special place in my heart, so to speak, with that, because of, that's how I met Sean, and he became my childhood friend for many, many years. And we're still friends to this day. I still need to go have him tattoo me. I actually want him to tattoo broken pieces of C-3PO, on my ankle or something, to signify that whole situation. But yeah, I definitely need to get that cashola saved up, because I am jonesing for another tattoo. Speaking of which, unrelated to Star Wars, I am jonesing for another tattoo. And the last question is, do I have a favorite Star Wars character, and why them? This was hard. This was absolutely hard. And I might actually amend what I originally wrote to sort of say it's a tie between. I've always been a fan of Obi-Wan Kenobi. And part of my reason for that is just that he was a snarky old man, in the original trilogy, and it was great. And he was, Ewan McGregor made him snarky too. He was snarky. Kenobi is snarky, and it's probably because he wasn't getting any, because they're not supposed to fall in love. But anyway, So yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, probably my favorite Star Wars character. Um, right up in there would also be Chewbacca. I think the Wookiee are really cool. And the thing is like I could say the Wookiee are cool, and then I can't really give you a firm example as to why, because again, anything that I may have learned in the past has fallen out of my brain in the past 15, 20 years. But I remember very distinctly when we were playing the Star Wars role playing game, I was looking up information about the Wookiees, and it was fascinating, and there was some really cool stuff. And I just remember thinking, oh, Chewbacca's like so much cooler than I thought. Speaking of Chewbacca, good lord, I watched a TikTok the other day that absolutely broke my ever-loving heart. And it was of a boy in a wheelchair, and he was very young, maybe 6 or 7, maybe even younger. He was very tiny. And he had a disability I could not tell you because there was no information. But Chewbacca was his favorite Star Wars character. And you see the person, the cast member as Chewbacca, kneeling in front of this boy's chair and just hugging him and taking his hands and booping his nose. I cried like a baby. I'm like, oh my God. You can't tell me that that person wasn't crying in that costume or didn't cry later for that, because male or female, man, there's no way you can't, that's not going to kill your heart, you know? So speaking of, I guess, since I'm still coloring and I don't know what else to talk about. So Star Wars, and just like my thing with Star Wars and like conventions and other stuff is, so when I lived in Texas, I had a bevy of conventions around me. There was a good chunk of months where every month for like 3 months in a row, you could go to a comic convention in Texas if you wanted to drive 2 or 3 hours. There'd be one in Houston. Next month, there'd be one in Dallas. And then there'd be one in Austin. So, you know, it was paradise if you had the money. And some of the smaller conventions that I used to go to were super cheap to get into. And the only thing you really paid for was if you wanted to get somebody's autograph. So, I mean, I've met Adam Brown from the Hobbit movies. I've met, oh my gosh, I'm trying to think, Sam Huntington, who was Jimmy Olsen in the Brandon Ruth Superman movie. Superman Returns, I think it was. I'm terrible with that. I've met voice actors for My Little Pony. I've met Lou Ferrigno, the original Incredible Hulk. That was amazing. Considering I was dressed as Bruce Banner at the time, it was cool. But at every one of these conventions, without fail, will be the 501st. And what the 501st is, it's actually a nationwide charity organization kind of group. And it is basically the biggest Star Wars fans. And I mean, listen, when you want to talk about Star Wars fans, you just talk about the 501st, because these guys are making their costumes, and I mean impressive Stormtrooper costumes and Darth Vader costumes and all of the costumes you can think of. And they always come to these conventions and they raise money. They do a lot of charity work with kids. You know, they're a nonprofit as far as I know. I believe they're a nonprofit. And they always have, you know, fun setups that you can see. There's always R2-D2 is almost always there, and I mean it's fully like automated, and it runs around and makes its noises, and it's really cute. And they always have different characters and stuff. So there's always a Star Wars presence at these conventions, and it's really fun though to be able to see what these people can. I mean, sometimes I remember one year when we went to Free Comic Book Day. Ooh, that's coming up. Free Comic Book Day. It's coming up this month. I gotta remember that. We have to find out where to go and get free comics. Anyway, I love Free Comic Book Day. I love dressing up for Free Comic Book Day. I might not do it this year, but I almost always, one year I dressed up as Agent Coulson. from Marvel. And I based it off of like a short film thing he was in where he beat somebody with a sack of flour, so I carried a sack of flour with me. I'm digressing. Anyway, but I remember one year that the 501st actually came out to Free Comic Book Day in Austin, at Austin Books and Comics or whatever, and they had stormtroopers out there, and it was so cool. And I love and really, really appreciate the dedication that these people in this group have. It's kind of like with the SCA, you know, where the people put in so much money and time to have their costumes and all of their garb be so detailed and so spot on, and you know, they have all of these things set up for the SCA, and it's the same thing with the 501st. I just have mad respect for just being so incredibly into your fandom that, you know, you're doing all this. And I've seen some guys, especially today, man, TikTok was a great place to be today. There was some cool Star Wars content on TikTok today. There was this one guy, I can't remember his handle, but it had the word Jedi in it, and he was doing these transitions where he would like move his arm and turn into all these different characters, and he was like wearing his shirts, and it was really cool. It was really cool, especially when he was showing himself off in the Jedi robes. I was like, okay, yes, please remind me once again that Jedi robes are sexy, even though I can't get into the Jedi robes because they can't do that, because it leads to attachments. Attachments lead to the dark side, or something like that. There's a whole quote for it. I tried to look up the quote before I started filming the video, and I couldn't find it. But I'm sure there are some of you out there who are big Star Wars fans that are literally quoting it at your screen right now. So, I love you guys. And hey, I'm almost done with this, so I am going to say, if you made it this far, I love you. And tell me some Star Wars things about yourself. Do you have a favorite Star Wars movie? Do you have a favorite Star Wars character? Are you more Star Trek over Star Wars? That's a big thing. I like them both. I probably like Star Trek more than Star Wars, but I do love them both. So I could never pick. No, if you told me I had to pick one, I'd be like, nope, go to hell.
You're by Starshual.
I am by Starshual. I love you so much. This is why I married this man, because I was just called by Starshual. And that's exactly what I am. I am by Starshual. But tell me, like, I would love to know, do we have anybody out there that grew up on the original trilogy, which is Star Wars, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, which out of those three, by the way, Return of the Jedi is my favorite. Out of the second set of movies, Attack of the Clones is my favorite. And out of the new set of movies, I couldn't tell you because I haven't seen them all. I have seen the first one. I have not seen The Last Jedi. I have not seen Han Solo. I'm very, very behind. I have not seen The Mandalorian. I know. I'm missing out. I know I'm missing out. I know I am, because I've heard nothing but good things about how great it is as a show. So I will get there. I have access to it. I will get to see The Mandalorian eventually. And then I will probably fall in love with Grogu harder than I already have, and then that will just be some madness. I already have, like, a big cup that says The Child on it. It's got his face on it, all cartoony and cute. I'll probably want a plushie of some sort, you know. That's how it goes. You get started and then it just all falls in. Alright, well there we have it. I have finished another picture in the way. That is my third one today. It's Star Wars Day. What else am I supposed to color? Star Wars pictures, right? Let me date this baby, because it is 5/4/22. Also, I mentioned Free Comic Book Day. If you guys don't know this, freecomicbookday.com will give you, by your location, if there are comic stores that participate in this. And if you don't know what this is an amazing thing. And I say amazing, but I have yet to have the experience I had in Austin, Texas with this. There was a store where they set up tents outside with 2 lines that you go through, and you could get like 6 to 10 comics, which is a lot. And they were free. And they had comics for kids, they had comics for adults, and they had it all broken down, and you could go through and you could pick out your free comics. And it's free comic books. And it's, one of my things is that I feel like comic books are a really good way to encourage kids to read. And they always have kid-friendly comics there to encourage kids to read. So there's almost always a mouse guard book for free on Free Comic Book Day. I have yet to get one, so if we go somewhere this year, I'd like to get the mouse guard one that always comes out, because it's actually like a thicker book. And it's free. So, free comic book. Take yourself, take your kids, go get some free comics. I want to say it's probably this weekend. I think it's the first weekend in May. So it'll be the 7th, Mother's Day weekend. But hey, take your mom out, get her free comics. I mean, if my mom read comics, I'd get her free comics. But so there we have it, guys. My Star Wars color and chat. I had a really good time with this. Thanks again to the husbando for coming up with the awesome questions. Which, if you guys want to answer any of those in the comments, I would love to know what your answers are for those. But yeah, this is it. If you had a good time watching me do this, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed already and you've just stumbled on my channel, hi, I'm Ever. This is The Humanity. Go ahead and hit subscribe if you want some more coloring content in your life. I'll see you guys next time.